Hello, everyone, and welcome to a second and more punctual episode of Who the F Wrote That, where we have guests who have to guess who wrote that based on the power of assumptions that are really based on nothing and context clues and mostly just vibes. Our second guest for this show is Evie. Would you like to introduce yourself and talk mad shit about how you're going to beat Alan and our superior?
Yes, I've already had my life threatened by Anita that if I beat Alan on the leaderboard, I am dead figuratively and literally, to her. So, it's a low bar, let's be honest.
You have to get five. You have to get 5 out of 10 to beat him. The thing is, he did also win the meta game of complimenting his bonus question hidden author. So it's kind of debate like if you get 6 out of 10, but then accidentally like you get a quote that's actually from one of your favorite books, and you're like, "This is stupid. Who the f wrote this?"
Listen, I am prepared to be traumatized because this is apparently my brand is being traumatized on the internet about my favorite books. So it's just gonna be
right.
Yeah.
I think without any more ado, we shall ask you who the f wrote this line. But some things have to be done. It is better to do them than live with the fear of them. A. Joe Abercrombie. B. Brandon Sanderson. C. Andy Weir. Or D. Philip Chase.
Oh no. Okay. Oh no. But some things have to be done. It's better to do them than to live with the fear of them. And let me switch over to private chat because I am.
She's not a cheater. Which, by the way, will be a tiebreaker if she beats Alan. Sorry, Alan, but
let's see. But some things have to be done. It's better to do them than to live with the fear of them. So, fear of doing something. All right, I'm just gonna go with B. Brandon Sanderson because it seems like window pane prose.
All right, this is in fact a common expression from the book it's in. This is a common expression said by Logan Ninefingers, who is a character in The First Law by A. Joe Abercrombie.
Mother trucker! And I love the Joe Abercrombie quote from last time.
All right, so Abercrombie unfortunately gets missed due to his window pane prose. That's very unfortunate, but that is okay. There are always second chances. And I'd like to apologize to the fans of the next author who the correct answer is. I did do you dirty here, and I'm sorry, but I thought it was funny. So the next question is, who the F wrote this line? Men call me Dark Star, and I am of the night. Is that A, John Gwynne, B, Robert Jordan, C, George R.R. Martin, or D, Fonda Lee?
Men call me Dark Star, and I am of the night. I mean, I would say Jay Kristoff if that was an option. So that seems like a very
it does seem like a very Jay Kristoff option. Unfortunately, I haven't read Jay Kristoff, so I couldn't
haven't either. But it just seems like an edgelord type quote.
If I was on this and didn't know this line, yeah, Jay Kristoff would have been a good.
Men call me Dark Star, and I am of the night. So this implies that either this is a woman character saying this. Just to make sure, is this dialogue or is this like in text, like first person narrative?
I believe this is dialogue.
Okay. So it implies it's either a woman character, or at least a non-male character, or it is a non-human character. Men call me Dark Star, and I am of the night. That doesn't seem like a Fonda Lee type quote. I'm gonna go against my gut because I went with my gut with the first question.
That's not trustworthy, is what we've decided.
Yeah.
So it's the George Costanza strategy with your gut.
Yeah,
do
exactly.
the opposite.
I'm gonna go with C. George Railroad Martin.
Okay, and George Costanza is correct. This is C, George R. R. Martin.
Yes! I
This
think it's
is
my gut! Alright. My gut
the
came right
George
to me.
Costanza strategy is officially the meta, especially when the answer is an author named George. This is a well-known memed online. That's excellent logic that like, you know, it has to be some like non-human or some woman to be like, men call me Darkstar. It's in fact just an extremely edgy man saying, men call me Darkstar and I am of the night. Um, I you know, George spent quite a while on this book, but just didn't get to this line. But it's very funny, so
By
we
the way,
move on.
someone make sure to keep track of how many times my cat crosses the screen during the stream. It's gonna be at least, probably, I'm gonna say 6 times, half a dozen.
Okay.
So
So that is now 1 of 2. We are on pace to beat Alan because we have gotten 50%. And we've got a meta strategy here. So let's see if that serves you well for question 3, which is who the F wrote this line. Just kick those crows. They're getting too goddamn bold. They think they own the place. Hey, you got one. Grab it. They aren't good eating, but they are a sight better than no eating at all.
again, I'm assuming dialogue, not in
This one is narration, believe it or not.
It is a narration. Okay. Just kick those crows. They're getting too goddamn bold. Think they own the place. Hey, you got one. So it implies that there is a narrative of, like, second person. I don't think, from everything I've heard, I don't think Patrick Rothfuss has second person.
I forgot to say the options out loud for anyone listening. The options are A, Steven Erickson, B, Tad Williams, C, Patrick Rothfuss, or D, Jim Butcher.
They aren't good eating, but they're a sight better than no eating at all.
Chat is very confused.
I'm very confused. Just kick those crows. They're getting too grab their. This implies there's a lot of death, but there seems to be a humor in this. I'm thinking it's either A, Steven Erickson, or D, Jim Butcher. You got one. Okay, I'm gonna go with D, Jim Butcher.
Okay, and this is we are now 2 for 2 on this. This is in fact the bonus question. Ding ding ding. This is Glenn Cook. This is from Bleak Seasons. This is like yeah. Yeah. It's from like the opening second person Bleak Seasons chapter. Yeah.
Frickin' Bergen.
Yeah, Mergen, man. Mergen is tough. Yeah, freaking Glenn Cook.
I should have. The crows. The crows should have been the telling thing.
Yeah, and it's this. I tried to give you a chance with like the second person narration.
I honestly forgot about the trick question of like not even an option.
Yeah, Alan forgot to. So that's 2 for 2. Not really considering that it was a trick question. The good news is you didn't insult it, and you in fact said it had some humor to it. So you didn't compliment it as much as Alan complimented the Long Price Quartet one.
And you know what? Me thinking it also could be Steven Erickson, knowing Steven Erickson was heavily influenced and inspired by Glenn Cook. There you go.
All right. So we shall move on to question 4, which is another edition of Who the F Wrote This Line. The hilt of 2 CXs protruded from his torso, one high in his chest, one in his belly. He was covered in blood from his own wounds, as well as those lying dead around him. Is that A, Brian Lee Durfee, B, Pierce Brown, C, Guy Gavriel Kay, or D, John Gwynn?
All right. I'm going to go straight for this answer because, one, from everything that I've heard about this author, he's a very action-driven writer. And also, the word say axis Ooh, that sounds like a really old word, so antiquated, much like thought cage. D, John Gwynn.
That is excellent logic, and that is correct logic. CX's was, in fact, this is a CX. The knife thing on this book, it's not actually from this book, but John Gwynn likes CX's more than every other fantasy author combined. And chat was on this as well. Pete was just like one word and was just like, yep, that is John Gwynn. So that gets us to 2 out of 4. We are still on pace for 5 out of 10. We are now once again pacing ahead of Alan.
You know, Aaron, my husband, for anyone that wants to know, or doesn't know, just know, reiterating, my life insurance policy, you are the beneficiary in case Anita kills me. So
that is now public knowledge. So question 5, we now move on to which of these effing quotes was written by a certain author. So I want to ask you, Evie, which of these effing quotes was written by Pierce Brown?
Oh no.
A. All right, everyone, I got to get my narrating out. A. The sky is still dark, but I can feel the first signs of dawn approaching. I'm beginning to think we, meaning the person whose death I'm now devising, and I, might actually have gone unnoticed. B. Every day must be hard for you. The days without difficulty are the days you do not improve. The days you do not improve are the days the men behind you close the distance. It's then you give your enemies hope. C. War is the thesis that there is a special time when causing death is normal, legal, heroic, accepted, right. I hate this thesis, and I cannot call it justice. D. Yet I felt so cold, so horrible, like I was the cruel with the snaring Odysseus, making him fall in love, keeping him for my own selfish aims. It seemed so logical.
So I can exclude D. That's probably from like Cersei. Probably. The sky is still dark, but I can feel the first signs of dawn approaching. Every day must be hard for you. Days are not difficult. Are all of these narrative, or are some of these dialogue?
I have the quotes properly. So the ones with like the triple quotes are dialogue. So A is okay. Narration, B is dialogue, C is dialogue, D is narration.
Got it. Okay, cool. Every day must be hard for the days, but they're the days you do not improve. The days you do not improve are the days men behind you close the distance. It's then you give your enemies hope. Or is this that there's a special time when causing death is normal? Or is there? Okay. So definitely not D. The sky is still dark, but I can feel the first signs of dawn approaching. I'm beginning to think we, meaning the person whose death I'm now devising, and I might actually have gone unnoticed. I feel like A would probably be like a Christopher Rocchio quote from like, what is it, Hadrian? Because that's first person, and he's, from everything I've heard, Hadrian is a
first person, yeah,
psychopath. I'm going to go with C. War is the thesis that there is a special time when causing death is normal, legal, heroic, accepted, right. I hate this thesis, and I cannot call it justice.
C is an interesting guess. It is, in fact, incorrect. C was written by someone much smarter than Pierce Brown named Ada Palmer. And then A is actually from the Hunger Games. That is Katniss planning someone's death. B is from The Rage of Dragons, and D actually is from Red Rising, which does reference classical mythology all the time, including Odysseus.
Mother trucker. All right.
It be like that sometimes. Here's Mitch, by the way, claiming dishonesty. When you could just look at the chat. So slightly dubious, but many things Mitch says are dubious, so that does check out.
True story.
All right, we have one more. Identify the quote question. This is question 6. Which of these effing quotes was written by Jim Butcher?
Oh no.
A. Someone has to start. Someone has to step forward and do what is right because it is right. If no one starts, then others cannot follow. By the way, someone asked why the font size changed. Some of the quotes are way longer than the other quotes, and so I had to change the font size to make them all fit on the screen. B, here's a longer one. But there were some things I believed in, some things I had faith in. And faith isn't about perfect attendance to services or how much money you put on a little plate. It isn't about going sky-clad to the holy rites or meditating each day upon the divine. Faith is about what you do. It's about aspiring to be better and nobler and kinder than you are. It's about making sacrifices for the good of others. C, oh, he had known they were walking a most narrow bridge with the yawning abyss below whispering soft invitations of surrender. But it seemed the far end was ever dwindling, stretching away, almost lost in the midst. And D, I don't know half of you half as well as I should like, and I like less than half of you half as well as you deserve. Yes, Evie has not read this book. Everyone points and laugh at her.
It's true, but I have seen the movie, so I can exclude D for certain because that is from The Lord of the Rings. Bilbo says that at his 111th birthday party. Someone has to start. Someone has to step forward and do what is right because it is right. If no one starts, then others cannot follow. But there were some things I believed in, some things I had faith in, and faith isn't about perfect attendance to services or how much money you put on the little plate. So that implies a religious aspect to it. Skyclad assumes science fiction, or at least implies in my brain. So I will exclude B as well. Although Jim Butcher does have like what is it, Aeronauts series or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, Cinder Spires.
There you go. Thank you. Oh, he had known that they were walking a most narrow bridge with the yawning abyss below, whispering soft invitations of surrender. But it seemed the far end was ever dwindling, stretching away, almost lost in the mist. All right. I'm going to go with A. Someone has to start. Someone has to step forward and do what is right because it is right. If no one starts, then others cannot follow.
So the question is, are you guessing that because you think it's good or because you think it's not as good, or just neutral, just going for style?
So I think, well, D is definitely not it because it's Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I figure Alan got a super easy one for his question 6, and now question 6 has to have one super obvious one for everyone from now on to make it fair.
Oh, well, okay.
So yes, it's not D, correct.
Yeah. B, I'm excluding that because I feel like it is more science fiction-y. And there's like a lot of world building around that. Not to say that obviously Dresden Files doesn't have world building, but it doesn't feel like that type of world building. And then C, I'm excluding that because it seems from everything that I have heard about Jim Butcher's writing, that just seems a little bit more flowery than what I would have expected.
That is good logic, because C is from Toll the Hounds by Steven Erikson. D is obviously from Lord of the Rings. A is from The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. And B is from Changes by Jim Butcher.
Listen, at least my life is still, worth living, because Anita's not going to kill me at this point.
That's good. Although I think the last one is the one where you can get the most points. So I think you have 2 points right now, but there's 4 points available on the last question. And for those who don't remember, the way this last question works is I have 4 authors and 4 quotes, and you don't have to guess.
Are we already at the last question?
We are. That is 6 questions in. But the last question is like 4 points in one, and it's 4 authors and 4 quotes, and you have to match them. You get 4 guesses, but for the first one, like, I will tell you whether you're wrong or right as you go, but not who it actually is. So our 4 authors are authors that we've kind of seen before here.
Wait, so the answer was B, correct?
The answer was B, yes.
Okay.
And the 4 authors we have to match are Ada Palmer, Louis McMaster Bujold, J.R.R. Tolkien, and Christopher Rocchio. And the quotes are: A, no more debates disturbed his mind. He knew all the arguments of despair and would not listen to them. His will was set, and only death would break it. B. This new you, though what changed it was abhorrent, is still recognizable and welcome, as Intolerable's aftermath's changes change you more, because that exquisite thinking thing which is yourself isn't soiled by, but constituted by, cumulative complexities, even the grief-born ones. C, a little bit shorter, always accuse the enemy of what you are doing. And D, you could fall in love with the grave, narrow option. It was the enemy of creative, strategic thought. It was the enemy, period.
Oh, right. Again, I'm assuming where quotes it is dialogue.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Yeah, B is dialogue. All the others are not dialogue. They're all narration.
Okay. Always accuse the enemy of what you're doing. You could fall in love with the grave, near open, no more dates. You know all.
I think you need to get 3 here out of 4 to beat Alan.
That's
2 to tie.
That ain't happening.
Well, if you get lucky on the first couple, then you have a better chance on the later ones.
That's true. This new you, though what changed it was abhorrent, it still recognizable. This new you, though what changed it was abhorrent, is still recognizable and welcome, as Intolerable's aftermaths changes change you more, because that exquisite thinking thing which is yourself isn't soiled by, but constituted by cumulative complexities, even the grief-born ones.
That one was harder to narrate than the other ones.
Even which is yourself isn't soiled by complexities, which is yourself isn't soiled by is it you could fall in love with the grave, narrow option. It was the enemy of creative, strategic thought. It was the enemy, period. Not listen to them as well. I'm going to say that A is Tolkien.
That is correct. This is in fact Samwise Gamgee, being an absolute boss in Return of the King. So that is my goat, and that is J.R.R. Tolkien.
Okay.
2 to 3 points. So now you just need 1 of 3 to tie Alan.
Oh, crap. This new you, though what changed it is abhorrent. So that implies that it's a new version of someone. And it's obviously... So I'm thinking that's Christopher Rocchio is B, but I'm not locking that in. Always accuse the enemy of what you are doing. Hi, Vin. Assuming that's who you picked up. Oh, Vin. You could fall in love with the grave narrow option. It was the enemy of creative. I'm going to say... So C and D, I'm thinking, are either... Okay, by that logic, I think... Okay. B... I'm going to say is Christopher Rocchio.
B is in fact from Perhaps the Stars by Ada Palmer. Oh shit, I was supposed to say it was wrong. Whatever.
Whoops. All right, well, I'll pretend like I didn't hear that.
Whoopsie.
Whoopsie.
That's my bad.
Always accuse the enemy of what you're doing. What's the enemy, period? Always accuse the enemy of what you're doing. Both of these are talking about enemies. No one cares. You could fall in love with the grave narrow option. It was the enemy of creative, strategic thought. Who's he? All right, just because it's strategic thought, and Hadrian is a strategist in planning apparently everyone's downfall. Apparently, it's known that he killed billions and billions of people. I'm going to say D is Christopher Rocchio now.
That's the second time guessing Christopher Rocchio, and that is the second incorrect guess of Christopher Rocchio.
All right, well.
So who do you think C is?
C.
Christopher Rocchio did in fact write, always accuse the enemy of what you are doing. A quote that feels very relevant lately. But
and
moving
then by deduction.
So yes, and then 4 is from the Vorkosigan saga. That's Miles talking, who is a much better strategist than Hadrian is. Hadrian, I mean, he has his moments, but Miles is a lot smarter than Hadrian. And Urza got them all. By the way, the same guy who did Alan's and got 9 out of 10 did do yours as well. He got 10 out of 10 this time, but he did have to guess a couple and get lucky. But also, he'd read most of the books that this is from, so it's an extremely unfair comparison. Part of the evil of this series is that every single set of questions is custom made to be harder for the participant. So everyone watching is like, well, this is easy. I can do way better. And then they have to come on, and it's actually harder because it's custom made to be harder. So
Listen, honestly, I feel like I win. 1, Anita doesn't kill me,
that
and
is true.
2, I wasn't re-traumatized by a spear cuts through water, Frankenstein, Wuthering Heights, or persuasion question. So,
Yeah, I considered doing Spear Cuts to Water, but it felt too obvious. So I went with Bleak Seasons. I admit I was slightly trying to giving myself a chance to bait you with the second person, being like, oh, it has to be like Simon Jimenez, and I can be like Bleak Seasons. But instead, I think we just guessed that was Jim Butcher, famous second person writer, Jim Butcher. He could make it work. So that gives us a score of 3 out of 10, which I think is actually perfectly reasonable considering the entire premise.
Didn't I tie?
You needed 1 out of 3. Oh yeah, you got C correct. Yeah, I forgot because by default, but the default does count. So yes, 4 out of 10. That means you tied Alan. You got C correct for the final question. You got
Alan can still go above me on the leaderboard because, alphabetically, his name is first. So.
Okay. I think I'm going to put you higher because I think it'll annoy Alan to be lower more than it will annoy you. I think that's the logic we're going with. You got this one right, and then you got this one right, and you also got A right for the last one. You got it that it's Tolkien, Samwise Gamgee, our goat. Let's see what chat wants to say. C definitely does count, by the way. Anita is coping right now. Yes,
a tiebreak.
A tiebreak. I don't know what the tiebreak would possibly be. I guess the tiebreak could be how hard it was for Faber, who's done both of them. By the Faber metric, yours was ever so slightly easier because he got 10 instead of 9.
I guess the tiebreak could be you could give me another like random quote and say like I don't know.
No, I think there is you mentioned a tiebreaker at the beginning of this episode. The tiebreaker was how well you do at the meta game, which is to not insult your favorite book. Which, in fairness, Evie did not insult her favorite book, but she also didn't compliment it as much as Alan did.
So did I not get the tiebreaker?
Well, I mean, into the tiebreaker, that was more of a joke. That was me kind of being like, the real point of this is to try and not insult your favorite author, which Alan did do better at the meta game than Evie, which was to say nice things about the book you like. And he did that Alan was also more important. He insulted the quotes more, yet still managed to compliment his favorite. You were much nicer to the authors you haven't read. Alan definitely goes with the I haven't read it, and therefore it's probably stupid. So
I can't believe what was that first question again, by the way? Can't believe I guessed Brandon Sanderson and it's Joe Abercrombie. I'm so pissed at myself.
Yeah, you kind of lost the metagame there. So I think we have to put Alan first because he was less disappointed in himself.
Yeah.
But that is a 4 out of 10. We will see if Derry will get either 3 or 5, or if it will just be if everyone gets 4 out of 10 in this game. Yeah, now we can go see if chat said anything unhinged. Maybe we should give Evie the tiebreaker of not looking at chat, even though chat didn't help Alan at all. Yeah, here's one. You killed my father. Prepare to die. So one of the future guests on this is going to be Kyle, and I can't come up with bloody books I've read that he hasn't. And I was going through like before with Evie, and I was like, I don't think he's read The Princess Bride. And then I'm like, but every quote from The Princess Bride is too recognizable.
I mean, not
all of them.
You could take an obscure quote.
It doesn't work like that. It's just like, okay, that has Buttercup in it. Because you have to avoid names.
Right.
All right. I mean, yeah, I could probably come up with one, but it'd have to be lame. Anyway, thank you for participating, Evie. Our next guest, episode 3, will be Derry, from Derry's Reddit Before. And Derry, do you want to now, if you want to take this time to talk crap in the chat about how you will crush Alan and Evie, now would be the time to do so.
It's true.
And I guess then we can. Yeah, Derry's for Kyle. Kyle's read too much stuff.
It's true. Derry's too nice to talk crap about us, so.
That's fair. Okay, everyone. I hope you enjoyed episode 2 of Who the F Wrote That. If you have any closing remarks, Evie, now's your chance.
Thank you for having me on. This was a great idea. I know you were nervous about like if this would even work. I think it's great, and it's really fun. And listen, another win for me. Got done in much quicker time than Alan, so...
You were faster. That is partially because I remembered to do the correct amount of questions.
That didn't take...
But also, you were faster.
So... anyways. Yeah, so... I don't know what else to say.
That's all I got. I'm bad at ending streams, but I'm going to do it. Thank you for coming out here, chat. He's read some Malazan, though. I'm going to go try and make some questions for Derry. Bye, everyone.